midday here in the tri-state area. Speaking of the tri-state, and the crazy uptick in violence that it's had here with our numerous personalities throughout the northeast region and corridor. We have another one latest to throw to the fire. We start with this, which y'all pile in here, get in here. Start one of my little stories. Just the camera here. A little bit, make sure y'all got a good view. Something to look at, seen it, besides the sky. After the pandemic and the quarantine, we saw a lot of people come out. What's going on, Clarence Pugh? Stick with me, man. I want y'all to hear me this morning, this midday, rather. You know, we saw a lot of people come out the pandemic, and a lot of people came out the pandemic, changed people forever, if you want to say. Oh no, these are not the same motherfuckers beforehand. Because see, these same people, especially if you're talking about here in the tri-state, they all had roles that they played, many of them. What do I mean by roles? Well, I spent 17 years playing a role at my job. So I know what a role is, because we created other motherfuckers to fulfill their role. If that makes any sense. You're this artist, you're that artist. You're this artist, and that's your glam. Even if that didn't suit their personality, this is who you are to the public. So I know about creating a personality. So a lot of these people that you saw previously, before the pandemic, now went under quarantine. And if you're in the New York City tri-state area, that includes Jersey, Connecticut, and New York especially. Well, I have been one of those people that still believed in the last minute. I would like to say historically, you know, we won't talk about this now, that won't make sense, but 10 or 20 years from now, reflectively, I can look back and say everything about the pandemic, I was there in the heat of it. Thank you very much, TMH Global. And TMH Global, before I went live, you were my inspiration for doing that, because of what you did. I don't have to broadcast everything. I know you don't like your business, but thank you very much. I saw that. Thank you. I thought you wasn't with me no more, whatever, but trust me, in your absence, I still was wondering, hey, what the hell is this guy? These personalities got to fester under quarantine. Now, a lot of these people had never been by themselves a day in their life. A lot of these people had actually depended on other people's energy and what they got from other people's energy to sustain their daily personalities. As a result, now you have an individual that is now isolated, right? So this individual is now isolated in a spot, and depending on the New York size of the New York City apartment that you rent, probably small, you know what I mean? So now you're in this room, particularly like most people are in New York City, by yourself, single, perhaps, maybe not, or some roommates you don't like. And now, you gotta be content with this situation for the next 4 to 5 months minimum. If you lived in New York City, it was 6 to 7, maybe more. So in reality, and that's some of that is self-imposed quarantining. So, because a lot of motherfuckers didn't want, it's okay to come out. So what? I'm not. See you at the finish line, boys, and good luck with those shots and shit. I told y'all from the beginning I didn't trust those shots. Now they recommend the motherfucker get a third shot. Everything will be all right after the third shot. Get a fourth shot. We sure now. We done switched it up and trickulated it enough that now a fourth shot is going to be conclusive and the last inoculation you're going to need. These people, they came out the pandemic, and I've told y'all this before, and the reason I'm talking loud because, you know, some people, that's all they respond to. But I will tell you again, these people that have been on it, see, they never give any thought to this, and I don't know why nobody hasn't, including many different agencies that analyze, you know, psychological disorders in society, other agencies like the CDC that monitor mental health, other agencies like I don't know, Pews and other people that contently just always have an opinion about something, but haven't had an opinion about this particular one. What if you have two elements you're not paying attention to? One, everything was shut down during the pandemic, okay? That means any business you had at the office previously was now on hold. I know this very well because before the pandemic started, I wanted to get a new ID. Mine had expired. I had to turn around and get another ID. It took me a month and a half to get that fucking appointment. A month and a half. What I mean is, they scheduled me for the appointment a month and a half out for a fucking ID. Oh, no, you can't have no more than 4 motherfuckers in here. I ain't catching COVID and all that shit and all that shit and all that shit. I already got health bills I gotta worry about. What if I survive this shit? They gonna want their money. You mean I'm in debt because of another motherfucking country? Shit, I could deal with being in debt in the USA. That was my choice. Most of the time. These people that are coming out the pandemic were people that had mental problems prior to the pandemic. And they were getting services in a lot of cases. A lot of them would go into services to get their medication or whatever. This is I had to learn myself because, like I said, I've been blessed most of my life. So I had to learn that a lot of these people that were homeless were going to these agencies and they were getting mental health treatment. I had to learn that a lot of these people that were homeless were actually getting services on a daily regimen. And they were getting fed. They were going to get clothes. They were going to get a lot of things at these agencies. And now these agencies have subsided and they were closed. Now, if you live in New York City, which is this a hop, skip, and a jump right here, this is New York City tri-state. Anything from here to Jersey, you can get through all three of them within 30 minutes. I go to New York, I can get on the train right here behind me. Y'all can't see it, but I get on the train right behind me, be in New York, well, the first stop in New York, really, and within 30 minutes. And depending on where I'm going, unless you want to go all the way to Grand Central, I'm there within 25 to 30 minutes, right? If I get off at Grand Central, catch the shuttle, go to 34th Street, I can walk right across the street from the Manhattan Mall, and now I can go to Jersey. So that's how in close in circumference each one of these particular demographics are, why it's labeled the New York City tri-state. Each one of them had their own element of homelessness, and each one of them had one thing unilaterally in common that nobody's pointing out, which is this. A lot of these people had mental conditions before the pandemic started, before they were quarantined. Those services that they were getting, many of them voluntarily, were then ceased. They were ceased. So now you have a whole litany of motherfuckers that have been unaccounted for, will not voluntarily go back in most cases. Some cases it took encouragement to get them their influence to these meetings, to these different places so they could get medications, etc., etc. And then you wonder why Bernie the Wino pushed your ass off the subway track. Well, you missed something. In all your analogies, you missed that. See, we are at a point in time where, since everybody wants to go back, dip back in history, we're at a point in time where we've got to do digging of the common man. See, the common man, and when I say the common man, I don't mean the common man like they're less than. And I'm not saying that because I worked in offices for 17 years. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, the common man is, the common man seems to be the one that is most hurt by the pandemic. Not the blue collar, that's the white collar gentlemen. Some of them are. If you need an example of that, 38% of small businesses went out of business during the pandemic. 38% of small business throughout the United States. Last month's unemployment and tax records showed that almost 61% of the population last year paid no taxes, more so contributed to the tax credit in form of what you would call a stimulus check. It's a tax credit. You can file for that shit if you want to. Rags and tatters. Rags and tatters. Y'all know my little shit when I say that. If you haven't, that means it ain't equivalent to nothing. You fighting for scraps. The point I'm getting at is these people coming out of the pandemic are not only strapped for cash, not only people that a lot of them have had previous mental problems and haven't been attained or attributed or have attributed to their violence, has attributed to their I don't know, the social well-being. It's like isolation on type of isolation. I mean, imagine you were already isolated. It's actually threefold. Imagine you were already isolated because you were a homeless person or whatever, or mentally unstable, but you had a home in New York, which a lot of cases do too. There's a lot of crazy people in neighborhoods in New York, and I'm gonna get back to the point of the story in a minute. But there's a lot of crazy people in New York, you know what I'm saying, that live with relatives, live with family members, or whatever. And everybody knows them in the neighborhood because they never bothered anybody really like that. And then that one day, they fuck around and they start fucking around. Hey, Patrice. Now, I want to get to the story. Here in Connecticut, our faux-ass governor, who's no different than Donald Trump, really. I mean, maybe his politics are different a little, but the same foray sits, and it's still the same. This is a businessman turned politician who has joined a constituency of politicians, and some may have been friends, somebody came over to dinner, someone that had it, but somebody encouraged this dumb motherfucker. That's what he is, make no mistake about it. Somebody encouraged this dumb motherfucker to run for it. You can do it, Ned! And he did it. Now, if you're a self-made damn near billionaire, you ain't really got to do nothing but convince people at that point. Same thing Donald Trump did. Use his money to influence. Like I said, I worked for millionaires for motherfucking 17 years. I worked for the best of them, who's now almost a billionaire, or is a billionaire now, which is Puff. So I know money. I know when I see a broke motherfucker, I don't care how well you dress. It ain't how you dress. Real motherfuckers know about change. They don't talk like you. They don't walk like you. They don't act like you. When I mean you, I mean somebody trying to oppress you like that. And you know that because of experience. See, more people, they get money, they act like me. And the ones that are assimilated and don't understand they to help will be like, why is he acting like that? Because I don't think like you. That's the difference between the boss and the motherfucking workers. That's what we learned from Puff. See, if you're talking about a turn of vertical integration or synergy, which I find, I've tried now 5-6 times to get a conversation with a motherfucker like that, and they ain't understand shit I was talking about. I said, how can you be a fan of Fox? How can you be a fan of Disney? How can you even work for the company and don't understand the basic paradigm, vertical integration, synergy? When your company is involved in it, to the totality that there's only maybe 7 companies existing currently that can match that strength. Fox, Disney. You know, Disney owns ESPN. Oh yeah, it's a Disney facility. Vehicle, if you want to say. All branched off, vertical integration. That means basically when a product is owned, developed, and put out on a multifaceted platform, meaning TV, radio, movies, audio, podcasts, all that shit is owned by this entity. And that entity has parent companies, and they also have development industries that they put into that. So that's what that basically means. Now, back to subject. This little particular motherfucker in Hartford, Connecticut, right? Hartford, Connecticut. Now, Hartford, Connecticut is one of those places where things could be 50-50. And what I mean by 50-50 is, give me 1 second, guys. Give me 1 second. Trump's already, give me 1 second, guys. Let's get this thing here about. All right, I think we're clear now. Did you see where Pump is opening a charter school in New York? More poverty pimping. Jay-Z and Will Smith with rent-to-own housing programs for people with shaky credit. They're all poverty pimps. I'm gonna get to that. We'll continue to add that on at the end in the title. I will definitely get back to that, Patrice, and remind me if I forget. So stay with me. This little 33-year-old man in Hartford, Connecticut. This is a place, Hartford is the state capital of Connecticut, all right? And for a lot of people used to call it hateful. Has a rich history, but at the same time, a violent history. I remember when the then mayor, Eddie Perez, was arrested up there for bribery. We had the governor of Connecticut, Governor Rowland, which I mentioned before, that went to jail for taking bribes. Connecticut has always been rich with, well, if you want to say shaky politicians. The dynamic of a state's capital, which is Hartford, Connecticut, is confusing because the demographic of the people has changed so much over the years. The person was Italian Catholic and then switched over to Irish, then switched over to Black, Irish, and Italian Catholic, and then Jews heavily. Then it switched over again. This is all about the infrastructure that they had in Hartford at the time, which is mostly the shipping industry, like most of Shoreline, Connecticut here. One of the particular places I used to live at used to call it the Whaling City. So I can tell you this much. When those ports left and those people left, those businesses left, just like Bridgeport, Connecticut. When those businesses left, they left these big infrastructure, and I saw it done in another part of Connecticut as well, right across the river there in New London from Niantic. And in that case, you had Pfizer's, the same people giving out the inoculation of the shots. They had two facilities. They got one in Groton, then they got one across the river, and it's right there in New London. It was on Pequot Avenue. They came into an agreement with the city of New London for 10 years. They would be tax exempt in hopes that they would hire people. But what they didn't tell them was, well, yeah, we're going to hire some people, but we're going to hire people for low-tier jobs. See, everybody else that we really need for research, they contractual. They was coming along for this gig. They were just waiting for us to finish the facility. Oh, you ain't get that. Oh, I'm sorry. I should have put that in the language contractually so you would understand better. CT politics are definitely like Chicago politics, corruption. That's what I'm trying to refer, right? That's what I'm trying to, definitely, okay? So the point I'm getting at is, I don't want to point this story out like this is the most heinous story that I can speak of, because it's not. Hartford has had a history of shit like this. And it all stems from poverty. It really does. It's poverty. Poverty at proportions that you would see in, I would say, South Jersey, in Newark. Poverty that you would see, I would say, in some boroughs in New York City, depending on the street you're in. Extreme forms of poverty. And as a result, you get a lot of violence. Now, anywhere in the world you go, doesn't matter where you're at, the Philippines, doesn't matter if you're in Russia, doesn't matter if you're in Istanbul, wherever the hell you're at. As you can see with Afghanistan, people are holding on to planes and falling off the planes to escape the incoming, maybe, I don't know, possibility of poverty even further by the Taliban. So, poverty has always been an ignition point for violence. Ignition point also for substance abuse. You don't believe me? Ask the Kennedys. They sold liquor by the barrel. And rose through the ranks. We had one of the motherfuckers that lived there. Committed a murder back in the 70s. They caught his ass. Killed a young girl at their estate. So you're right about that, TMH Global, yes. Connecticut has had a history of corrupt politicians, don't you know? A history. Giordano, Eddie Perez, Kennedy I just mentioned, Governor Rowland, who implemented harsher, stricter penalties for prisons, but ultimately fell under those same rules when he was arrested and later convicted. Talk about karma. We have a lot of corrupt politicians here. We also have a lot of good ones here. You know what I mean? One of the people that y'all always frequently hear me support, because I like a lot of the things she says. I think she's harsh. She's harsh like me. That's the New England in her. I ain't mad about all of that. And that's Candace Owens. Now, you can say what you want to about Candace Owens. She's from right here in Stanford, right on Spruce. Townie. This man yesterday, let me get to the point here. An old man walked past his baby, and I know we all have bad days. I have some bad days too. I'll look at the motherfucker, and depending on how the angle you looked at me, how long you looked at me, I will respond to you, because I'm used to responding to motherfuckers like that in New York. And I had to start catching myself, because I'm like, all right, I ain't in Brooklyn no more. I ain't in the Bronx no more. I ain't gonna really act like that. But you have to, because if you don't, that 2.4 seconds that you let pass could be the last 2.4 seconds. Now, I went back to New York for 5 years, but 20-something plus years here. And I watched the state dilapidate under crooked governors, crooked mayors, wayward governors, wayward politicians, and convicted ones. This motherfucker I spoke of, Mayor Giordano, had a woman bringing him 13-year-old girls. Mayor Giordano been a regular motherfucker. I said they wouldn't have to worry about calling the police. I don't support no motherfucker out here. I don't care who you are, what the case is, unless she lied about her age or she significantly looked older. Like, you get a pass if she was 16 and she looked 19 or 20. Okay, I can understand that, but still, your ass is old as fuck. Why are you talking to a girl that young anyway? But the hint of rape would be out of the equation. Versus 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girl. Motherfucker, she was skipping when she walked up. Y'all ain't hear me? She was skipping when she walked up. Your bitch ass knew. There's all kinds of crimes like that and any others that have been committed by politicians to try to justify their means. They make little campaigns and try to comeback trail. A couple of them anyway. And this doesn't work. You don't see it nationally. You don't even see it by the state, because the news agencies, WBSB and WTNH, they don't want to cover that bullshit. Not supporting that bullshit. You ain't gonna do no PR run on my motherfucking channel. I salute them for that. And that's more so because of their parents. The parent companies, NBC and ABC affiliates. They're affiliate to them. Vertical integration. So when I see stories like this, and I'm going to tell you about it right now, it's all because of those conditions that these men, with their failed promises as politicians, with their actions and failed actions as politicians, with their egregious actions as politicians, sexually, foul, and otherwise, they help set the template for shit like this, because you are an example. You are the state's example. Now, a lot of these guys, they get into these politician seats. And the reason I'm making this about political shit, because I want to show you, it's just like that commercial. Y'all remember that commercial back in the days? And the dad walks into the room, and the kid's in there doing drugs, and the kid responds, "I learned it by watching you." Well, that's how these motherfuckers did. These weak-minded motherfuckers. These parentless motherfuckers. The parent is made up of two dynamics, a male and a female gender. There are species of mammals other than humans where the father is less involved, or at a certain point he is involved and no longer involved again. Also, the gestation point in which you are incubated, if you want to say, can vary from a few months, a few weeks, a few days to years. Also, the period in which the parenting takes place, depending on the mammal species, not human or bipedal, can be anywhere between a year to a couple weeks. Evidently, this motherfucker I'm about to talk about right now, his parents should have kept him a little bit longer, or parent. This 33-year-old man, and this is the products of these environments. This 33-year-old motherfucker in Hartford, Connecticut, deciding, yes, I call him a motherfucker. He said, skip it. Exactly. This 33-year-old motherfucker from Hartford, Connecticut decided that his best option was to knock out a 75-year-old man, because the 75-year-old man waved at his baby. No, that's it. No, I'm dead serious. That's it. That's it. Now, there will be advocacy groups, because they charged this motherfucker subsequently after this gentleman had fell to the ground, required 2 surgeries because he had cracked his cranium from hitting the ground. See, sometimes it's not the punch, it's the action that comes out, actions that come after the punch. Trajectory, you know? So, meaning you might get punched, fall against a rock. You might get punched, fall against the sidewalk. Whatever's in your innate view or surroundings or circumference at the time, that's what you're going to fall into. This man required 2 surgeries to fix the cracked cranium. He broke a rib. He's very frail. He's 75. Now, y'all gonna ask me, was he black or was he white? Y'all saw the picture of this motherfucker, didn't you? Now, when I talk about all that thing about localities and everything like that, I like to open the conversation because I like to let y'all know where I live at and the dynamic. A lot of people don't know about Connecticut. Not in a worldview. Only thing you know is it's an opulent state, or, you know, a lot of rich people live there. And yes, they do. Yes, they do. Diana Ross lived 2 stops from here. But not all the localities within Connecticut are just as opulent. You have a lot of rural, poor communities, especially on the shoreline here in Connecticut, and nobody fucking addresses them. That kid didn't live in Hartford. He lived in one of the little small towns outside of Hartford County. Now, people here that know about Connecticut know there's a difference between Hartford County and Hartford. So he did this in Hartford and skedaddled his ass back over to the neighboring suburbs, if you don't understand, of the same county. This is why I tell you guys, Connecticut is a multiple county state with multiple municipalities within those counties. Right now, I live in Fairfield, Connecticut. There's multiple municipalities here, small and large, and each one of them are different, even if they're right next to each other. If you know Brooklyn or you know the Bronx, you know exactly what I'm talking about. In my neighborhood, I lived around all Albanians, Jamaicans, Dominicans, Black Americans, and a few Puerto Ricans sprinkled here and there, you know, and a few other Latin countries. You got to ask yourself, and when I say this about the pandemic, you got to ask yourself, what mental state was this motherfucker in that he felt the need to punch a 75-year-old man out? How does a 75-year-old man, listen, I have old men walk past me all the time and do sniveling comments under the breath, do little sniveling gestures. Motherfucker, I know what a motherfucker jealous of me. Are you kidding me? I walked into office buildings for years, black, white, Spanish alike, jealous of me, don't like me, whatever. I don't give a fuck. You don't have the tickets to nothing. You're not the opening door for nothing. Hell, in the scope of tier, you are nothing compared to me. Multiple municipalities means different variations of the same law. But which the way the law is implemented in these certain localities is different. I'm glad you brought that up. The way it's allocated in different municipalities, and I know this for a fact, the same adjudications you receive, whether it be from the police force, temporarily or permanently under law, further and documented with the judge adjudication, you start to see something. You started seeing these smaller localities within and municipalities within the state of Connecticut. You start seeing that there's a different type of gift. Now, I don't know about other states that have multiple municipalities and multiple counties within this state infrastructure, but I know here in Connecticut how it goes down, and I know a little bit about South Jersey because South Jersey has the same fucking problem. When you get outside of Newark, New Jersey, you get a whole bunch of little hillbilly-ass towns. You know what I mean? Some of your biggest superstars from some of those hillbilly-ass towns down in South Jersey. It's cheap down there. Real cheap down there. You get an 18-bedroom for like $1,200. And you got a basement and a washer and dryer. I'm fucking around. Not so cheap, but South Jersey, now you don't want to do that unless you're born and raised down there. That's different. Well, it's not just a place you'd be like, yo, let's pick up and go to fucking Providence. You know what? Let's pick up and go to fucking Hartford. You know what I mean? You automatically know you ain't never been there before. So, with that said, this little piece of shit in Hartford, just first time here I curse a lot, you know what I mean? I'm old school in New England. I don't give a fuck about what you think. It's, you got to put it in this junction. This is a piece of shit guy, but at the same time, how much do we blame him? Because you have instances and examples over and over and over and over again of the constituents that were elected that are around him to clean up the city and add more jobs, add more this thing. These motherfuckers are corrupt. And it's on wide display in front of news agencies. They usually cater to their message. I'll underline that. They're usually reported by news agencies that were previously, whether it was on the campaign trail, whether it was on the journey, whatever the fuck it was. Now, I'm not blaming these gentlemen, but I'm just saying, if we're talking about leading by example, you're a horrible motherfucking example. Mayor Eddie Perez, and they had to, let me tell you something. Governor Ned Lamont was very vocal before they got that COVID money. Oh, I saw him on Yahoo News, which who the fuck goes to Yahoo News? I saw him on Pix 11, which is New York News. We get it here in Stanford. And I said to myself, oh, and I said it then, it's on camera here. I said, this motherfucker is doing this in anticipation because, see, there were two COVID bills passed. You know what I'm saying? That allocated money to the states. And the state money and the allocations for this money have parameters on them. Some of them have to be used for certain purposes or whatever. In the long term, some of them like 10 years, 5 years for others. They have a time duration of 2 years for certain other disbursements. Governor Ned Lamont was sitting back, and I think as a businessman, trying to figure out how he could repurpose the money. Hey, what's going on, Dominique? He wanted to see how he could repurpose the money. Now, when you get people, and what I mean by repurpose the money is, I see Annette Floss on here. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. Their governor is being accused of repurposing COVID-19 relief money. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to this. The first bill that was signed, the first COVID bill was signed, had allocations within it. And those allocations were supposed to go to specific monies for regional programs, jobs improvements, shit like that or whatever. All this money is distributed through the states, okay? Now, there's one round in the first set of COVID relief bills, which include the PPP loans, and everybody scammed out of those, which included many other, things or whatever. But each one was available at different time points and time stamps. You know what I mean? So more and more you further in, you're now seeing checks being issued out to states quarterly or whatever the case may be. You're seeing those checks being distributed from actually the first COVID relief bill. The distribution for the second COVID relief bill is incoming now. Then there's a third one that we just voted on, which is not part of the infrastructure. The second portion, which is being debated still, that's for the infrastructure plan. This is to go to, fix roads and bridges and shit like that. You know what I mean? And all that shit and all that shit. My daddy ran a construction company, so y'all know what I mean. And I talk about my shipping container home. So yeah, that's something important to me. There's a $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers and shit like that. That would help me, you know? But when you get constituents and you get people in charge that repurpose money, it's funny. Because now, I don't give a fuck how much you saved up. If you can't afford monthly to live nowhere but where you live at, you still come home to the animals. Oh yeah, see, a lot of people make a mistake about that shit. Drive nice little sharp car or some shit and pull right up to the motherfucking projects or pull right up to the motherfucking danger zone. You want an example? I'll give you another story. There was a woman last night in Brooklyn, Haitian immigrant, came here with her one son. She's got 4 in totality. She was with some gentleman. They were in Crown Heights. Not the best of neighborhoods, depending on where you at in Crown Heights. You got a couple streets are okay. She thought this street was okay. But see, crime ain't got no GPS. Crime doesn't have a GPS. Not no more. I don't give a fuck if you are over in such and such neighborhood. Crime doesn't have a GPS anymore. We're seeing this. That's why I tell men, it serves you no fucking purpose right now. You are putting your family, your wife, your girlfriend, or whoever at risk if you ain't prepared to swap off on the motherfucker. I saw a guy in a video, and I'm gonna tell you about this video I saw, and I'm gonna add that to the link. And I also want y'all to click the link in the description box, and y'all be able to go check out the video. I provided it there preemptively before I started this. This woman was coming home and somebody shot up a car. Now, the thing was, they showed on the news she had about 4 pictures of her in front of this Mercedes. But she lived in a shitty neighborhood. Now, I don't judge nobody by where they live at. If you want to live there, that's your business. But I learned something from my mother a long time ago. My father learned it from my mother too. Address mean every fucking thing. All that shit that with the cute little cars, y'all know I got what? Bentleys, the Porsches, the Lamborghinis, shit. I done did all that shit. Y'all see the pictures and videos and everything else, so I ain't got to prove shit. You know what I mean? 17 years I worked in the music industry, so I know money. But people that don't know money, don't know the liquidity of money, what they tend to do is they tend to try to buy things to show people, which is the wrong thing to do. Now, I tell people often, if you don't have any stocks, if you're not invested in anything, I'm definitely not the guy to get in a conversation with, no matter what you think. What you think doesn't hold weight. What's in actuality holds weight. So that's a psychological trick a lot of people try to fool on you. I used to run into that all the time in the office. These motherfuckers in there in the middle of divorce, in debt, ready to kill the wife and kids if they had the chance type of moves. Well, I've seen thousands of them. 17 years, I've seen thousands of them motherfuckers. We lived in the area one time outside, and I was close in here, Connecticut, and I was closer to the casinos. And I used to go into Foxwoods because I stayed out in Legend for a while. And I would see people literally at that casino just spending it all like they just had it. And then you look at the car they pulled up in, and I'd be like, oh shit, they go, because they have to valet people sometimes. Sometimes I think it's unnecessary. You just, like if you pull up in a Kia, if you pull up in a Kia, I don't give a fuck what year it is. Do not valet that shit, all right? You look like a fucking idiot. That just signals to me, oh, this motherfucker's gonna be out of here quickly. Or they probably came to waddle around and play on the slot machines and get some free drinks, Fred the Godson, he used to come to Mohegan Sun a lot. R.P. Fred the Godson, friend of ours, involved very early before y'all even knew him in his career and during his career. You know what I'm saying? Last time I was with Fred was at the Love and Hip Hop wrap up with Jacquay. Shout out to Jacquay, another one. that was with us since the beginning. Hey, 305 Capricorn. Dominique RN said, facts. Super important. Glad you invested that. But I did. I'm going to keep it buck with y'all. The money I had donated to me, that's what I started fucking investing. You know what I'm saying? And I think I'm going to throw up a screenshot again because I've gained it. But the thing I say to all y'all, and I want to get back to my diatribe here, but the thing I say to all y'all, once you invest, I did fraction shares. I own 3 full shares, but the rest of my shit is fraction shares. And that's because a lot of my shares are very, very expensive. Like for a full Tesla stock, it's like 800. I got like 3 something invested. So each time that I got a donation, I still do it to this day. I'll take $2 or $3 and throw it into a fraction share. Now all of a sudden, you know, I have one. What was the one I had that I own a full share now? I could tell y'all too if I clicked off of here real quick. But the one that I have fully was NIO. That's the name of the company. NIO. Another one I would tell y'all to buy into that I just recently bought into that I own a full stock is Virgin Galactic. I would tell y'all to jump into that one. And then the other one is Tesla. My Tesla one is worth, hold on one sec. You know what? Y'all stay right here. I'm gonna go look at it real quick and tell y'all because I don't want to guess it. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so it's Tesla, NIO, and NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes chips. Those are the 3 that I have full shares in because they come up top when I open up my app. So those are the ones. I'm not telling you specifically you should go invest in, but what I'm telling you is on a slow scroll, go for fraction shares. You know what I mean? And look for how much you best versus how much you gain off these stocks and how much they fluctuate on an often. Like you got a stock that fluctuates like every 3 or 4 days, but it's not significantly going low by percentage, meaning it doesn't drop, you know, 0.75 is usually when I start worrying. You know what I mean? Because that means you dive now about 30%. So, you know what I mean, from your initial investment, meaning you put in 100, now that shit's worth like $73. And it happens. That's happened with my Tesla stock. My Tesla stock has never yet succeeded except maybe twice what I invested. You know what I mean? And that's my most, as far as my most sought after to have a full stock in right now. So I'm about I said more than a quarter away from getting a full stock, but their full stocks are expensive. Like it went from $736 to $810 per stock for them, per share. And then there was another one too. I want to tell y'all this before I go back into the little diatribe I was talking about. There was another one by Virgin Galactic that kind of shocked me because like 2 days before Virgin Galactic, right? 2 days before Virgin Galactic did the launch, there was a lot of anticipation. I mean, there was a lot of media being put out there by Richard Branson, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the peak of the stock, it was like, I think $48. And I subsequently saw it go a day after the launch, depending on however people viewed it. It went down literally $10 to $38. Then it went from $38 to I think last time was $32 I saw. And I could click off again and see. Hold on, I'll tell you guys. Stay right here. I'll tell you how much it's worth now. Give me 2 seconds. All right, so I just checked. I said the other day it was at 26. Now it's at $24.36 per share. So that's how much that fluctuated within. And they did that launch at Virgin Galactic with him and his plane about, I don't know, let's say about 3 weeks ago. So, you know, buy into that because the reason I say that is once they start, you know, pushing these flights out, and they've got people have bought seats. I heard that Ashton Kutcher actually passed up on one of his seats. I don't know if this was for Jeff Bezos or for Richard Branson, but their line of interstellar travel. I mean, I said interstellar travel, not yet. Their form of space travel or momentary space travel, because is this really the layer of the stratosphere that's closest to the to space? So it gives you you're in outer space technically, but you're such at the edge of the Earth, if you want to say. It's just like layers that protect us from UV rays and shit. You're around that area, but you're actually in space, you know. So I would tell you to do that. Now back to what I just wanted to talk about, and I'm going to wrap this out because I don't think this is much that needs to be talked about. I'm actually going to start something new and talk to you guys about this. But one of the things that I noticed when I came back to Connecticut was that the demographic of here in Stamford had changed a lot. And it was a lot more immigrants here, I noticed that. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you have good intention. I don't like, per se, immigrants that come here and they try to down other immigrants that may have just immigrated here. I don't like that shit. That's why I don't like this terminology, Latinx and all that shit, because that's what that's designed to do. But at the same time, I don't like troublemakers, you know? And so many times you have Black and Latin people that like to improvise their bad moods or whatever the fuck they're going through on you, just specifically because y'all the same color. And they do this with the notion of thinking, well, if I'm going through troubles, everybody's going through troubles like I am. No, everybody's not going through troubles like you are. And you should hold your motherfucking head up high and get through the troubles you in and ask for help. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing wrong with asking for help. That young man that knocked out that man in Hartford was 75 years old. Now, no matter, he lived in Hartford County. He didn't live in Hartford. He lived in Hartford County, which is a suburban area outside of there. And he went back to his home after he knocked this 75-year-old man out for waving at his baby. That's somebody that's a nut. That's somebody that was during quarantine, was so isolated, not only personally, but also by the quarantine, that mentally he just broke. And that's what we got to start addressing. There's a lot of people out here, you're pointing at the homeless people that are in the problems, but you got to also point to the motherfuckers that have homes and still have the same problems. A mental condition doesn't have an address, doesn't have a GPS. You have to be mentally deranged to knock out a 75-year-old man. Now, if he was 50, 60, that's different. 75? There's some 50, 60-year-old men out here that think they still got it. Fuck out of here. They'll swing at you, shoot at you, everything else. I had it happen to me. I had a motherfucker chase me. And the only reason he chased me, this is what happened. I was in the store. I'll tell you a quick little story. I was in the store about Warren and Mace in the Bronx. And so this man came in and he was about 50-something, 60-something. This was 1 o'clock in the day. Okay, I want to emphasize that. It might have been 1 o'clock on the dot, but it was 1 o'clock in the day. Something. This motherfucker was coming in. This was doing a weekday to buy beer. So I already knew he was cocked up. He was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? He had that liquid courage in him. You know what I'm saying? Probably had it since 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So I said, all right, I'm gonna leave this motherfucker alone. I ain't saying nothing to this man, ain't bother him, nothing like that. But sometimes because, you know, I don't know, the way I look or whatever, I look like I'm friendly or some shit. Like I'm that motherfucker to be approached. And it's not about you approach me. I don't give a fuck about that. It's not like I'm unapproachable. It's the way you approach anyone. Anyone. You know what I'm saying? Anyone. So this motherfucker came right in my face and coughed on purpose. And I said, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? I'm gonna read that comment in a second. I gotta go back to what Patrice was talking about too. I looked at this motherfucker, I was like, did you really just cough in my face? So he came, I let it go. He walked back to the back, and this is how I knew he was drunk. He went back to the freezer portion where the gentleman that owned the store stocked their merchandise and grabbed him a 12-pack of beer. He comes back out and just to be funny, goes in my face again. So this time I said, yo, didn't I just tell you don't cough in my face? He wanted to get loud. What are you gonna do? So I duffed his ass. He fell back, hit the motherfucking cans. This is why I said I know this now. Hit the motherfucking cans and motherfucker cut his head. Plus, I had bloodied his lip from where I hit him at. He thought because I was small that I don't hit hard. Motherfucker, I've been this size all my life, and all my cousins and everybody I hang out with, if you ever seen the pictures of the people I hang out, like my friends, I'm the smallest guy out of all of us. But I had to have more heart than them because of the pure simple fact I'm small. You know what I'm saying? So, if that make any sense. You know, shout out to Doc, shout out to Tone, shout out to Uptime. All those guys, if you see them, they're big. And I'm talking about they work out, they're bigger than the average, especially Doc. You know what I mean? But these are my friends. They always adopt me as like the little brother or some shit. I don't know. It just happens. It's always happened during my life. Even when I was in sports, it was the same thing. I would have the biggest small, hey, come here, little motherfucker. You know what I mean? Man, you get your big ass off of me. You ever had that? If you're a smaller guy, you know what I'm talking about. Have some, like you play sports. I play sports, so if you have one of the bigger players come over to you, be like, hey, good job. Get the fuck off of me. The funniest shit was, man, this motherfucker gets up. He starts talking shit. This old Dominican guy. Why did you assault me? Why did you assault me? Now, he wasn't old. He was 50-something. Motherfucker pulls out this big Rambo Crocodile Dundee back to Africa ass knife on me. And he swings it at me. I jump back like this. You know what I'm saying? I do it just like I do my exercise. Y'all can't see me right now. I did it like that. You know what I'm saying? And just fell back off of him. I don't give him a chance to get a second swing in. I run out the door. Leave the shit I got there and everything like that. He follows me outside. There's some stones and shit right across the street. I throw the stone at him. Back the fuck up, you know? Now, I know this guy can't beat me physically, but he's scared now. But you're the one that did it. You started this. You get what I'm saying? He chased me all the way down. I ain't gonna front. I ain't gonna hold y'all. He chased me all the way down Fordham. Excuse me, Pelham. You know what I'm saying? I dipped on him. So as we run, as he's chasing me down the street, he getting out of breath because he drinking shit. He don't realize, yo, money, I'm in pretty damn good shape. You're not gonna just get me like that. Yeah, I smoke cigarettes and all that shit, but I work out all the time. I don't eat shitty. You understand what I'm saying? Almost everything I eat is organic. You know what I mean? That's why I'll take the trip to Trader Joe's and all that shit or whatever. And if you ever seen any of this shit that I eat, like I've always eaten like that. Like I've always had a diet of yogurt, things like that. You always have to have those things. A diet of yogurt right now will tell you guys, especially people in the Black and Latin community, it will save your life because your antibodies have to be able to warrant off, you know what I mean, the COVID variants and shit like that naturally. And I think that's why you see a lot of people, depending on where their health is, you know what I'm saying, not being so easily to contract that virus. And I thank God of that, you know. Moving on, this fucker chases me all the way down. He's knocking on doors of cars as he's chasing me. Call the police, he says. Call the police with a knife in his hand. This is how drunk this motherfucker is. You knocking on people's windows telling them to call the police with a knife in your hand. I'm talking about this is a big knife, so if he would have stuck me, he would have got me. I ain't gonna lie to him. That's why he was carrying it. He was scared. She's scared motherfuckers do shit like that. So, he couldn't catch me. I faded on him when I went around the corner to a building. Everybody know what I'm talking about, where the 2 train is on the right-hand side, where they still doing construction. They've been doing construction right there and had that scaffolded up for like 4 years. I get board the guy, and I jump on the train, and I get out of it. Never seen the guy again. I hope I don't. For my sake, right? Moral of the story is, there's a lot of people out here that have mental issues. And you can't just go around flapping your gums at people because you don't know who you're talking to. Now, I hate to say this, but this goes for black people, white people, Spanish people alike. I see a lot of you do little nasty fucking gestures to people that you find in your tier of life may not be in comparison. When I find many times if I compare things on paper with you, you're not in my tier. Did you ever work at a record company? Have you ever worked at a major company such as me for the duration I have? And I found many times when I get in that conversation, fuck your education, you don't have experience. I went to college 10 years after I got hired for the second time, you know? It appalls me when people match the collegiate achievements to reality and experience in the work field. It's not this fucking same. The only thing you're getting taught is protocols. And not how to execute them, may I add, in most cases. The fact that I don't teach you how to execute them, and you can talk to Dr. Boyce Watkins, he's someone that formerly had tenure up at Syracuse University, I think he'll agree with this. The fact of graduate school is to teach you how to execute this shit. So that'll be another 75,000. Told somebody to pay back loans, all right? There are a lot of people that are mentally unstable, and it's added from the pandemic. There's a lot of people that were homeless. There's a lot of people that weren't homeless, that were going to facilities to get mental help during the daytime, weekly, monthly, whatever. Those facilities were once then eradicated when quarantine and these viruses came into existence. Now you're talking about people that for a year and a half hadn't had any counsel, haven't had any treatment, haven't in many cases haven't taken their medication. They are now amongst you walking around, and some of these guys, they had to be encouraged to get out the house, which I think was some of the worst things that could have happened, because sometimes you're encouraging the worst people to come out. Now, on another plateau, you have this element, and this goes for the whole tri-state, but I'll speak about New York and this portion of Connecticut. You have another set of mentally unstable people that are homeless. They have been chronically homeless. If you don't understand that terminology, that means that some of these people have been homeless for over 7, 10, 15 years in some cases. They know how to hustle around the system, even though they don't want to go to a homeless shelter. This is pre-pandemic. Once those services and those doors are closed, now they're on their own. I remember catching the train at 175th and one time at 180th, both locations. And I saw upwards to 14 men downstairs in the subway sleep. And if you live anywhere in New York City, you know what I'm talking about too. This yesterday, you had another homeless person attack somebody down by Chelsea again. These homeless have gotten witty. And these are chronic homeless, chronic drug addicts, mentally ill to the extremes. Many of y'all been on the trains, and you will see people that smell like high hell walk past you. Well, previously they had facilities they could go to, take showers, get mental treatment, get medications. In fact, some of these places they call drop-off centers are made just for that. And if you live in New York City, you know what I'm talking about. Skid Row is a prime example of that. She said, my job made a vaccine mandatory in New York City. It's crazy that they made that, and I'm gonna get to that in a minute too. You're trying to reignite the city, and this goes into what she just said, 305 Capricorn. You're trying to ignite the city, and you try to get everybody to come back out the door, but you got everybody around out the door to come to filth. New York City don't look no different when motherfuckers were coming to visit, doing when the pandemic was happening, versus the now. And I'm talking about in full volume. There were people still coming to New York City because the tickets were cheap. Hotel room accommodations were cheap. If not, you know what I mean, if you could find them. So it looks the same way. There's nothing encouraging to say, come back to New York. Especially within a month, you got not one, but 2 shootings in the middle of Times Square. Well, people get hit. Well, people get hit. You had a 3-year-old baby. You had 2 other individuals. It had nothing to do between 2 brothers. He shot at his brother. Yes, you heard me right. Correct. He shot at his brother. Was arrested later, but still the damage is already done. You had another dude. He got his ass whooped, so he got scared, like most of these men do nowadays. That's why I tell you the feminization of men is real. The feminist view of men and putting it on men is creating weak men. It's not creating men of significance anymore. You know what I mean? You're making men that their primary thing is not about ending conflict. It's about compromising during the conflict. And compromising can get you in a lot of trouble. They compromised just a minute ago with Afghanistan. You saw where that led. What'd you say? Skid Row is, I don't see NYC bouncing back from this. It's not going to bounce back from it. Skid Row is a prime example of that. Yeah, it is, out in Cali. My sister lives in Modesto, outside of Oakland. My job just made me the vaccine mandatory here in New York. This is ridiculous. Some people are taking this new black YouTube attitude into real life and are having rude awakening. Yeah, they are. So y'all want me to talk a little bit more about Brother Polite? Is that the segue to that? I'll do that for you. I wrote something. TMH, thank you again for the donation. Guys, if you like to donate, it's $STRINGERBELL80. My name is Davin Lewis, formerly of Bad Boy Entertainment. Went through 3 distributors. Started out at BMG, which I took you guys, there's a video down below too. I took you guys to my building where I used to work at. I will talk about that a little bit later too, because there was something in that video I wanted to point out, but I didn't want to start no shit in front of my old building because that just wouldn't look right. So, but let me tell you something. It's funny. I want to read that comment one more time. Some people are taking this new black YouTube attitude in real life and having a rude awakening. That's what TMH Global says, so y'all clarify that. Brother Polite is an example of that. Y'all want to make this a little bit longer? How long have I been going? An hour? Okay, I'll make this a little bit longer. We'll add it on to the title later. Brother Polite is an example of what I've been talking about for a couple of years now with this pro-black YouTube ecosphere and black Twitter. I don't like either one of them, no more than I like pro-white Twitter or pro-right motherfucker. And I've frequented those channels, as y'all can see. I take screenshots of it. I argue with people on there. I've let people dumbfounded on some of those right-wing websites. I had 2 of them. I made friends. You know, not friends like we're going to go out and have a cup of coffee or something, but we were at an understanding that we would listen to each other. And I agree with that. That's cool enough. Like I said, my grandmother from Lynchburg, Virginia. Racist white people down south you can talk to in most cases. You're like, hey, ain't niggers I don't like. It's just, you know, I don't like a lot of things come with you. I had a colored boy one time. Nah, all white people not like that. I grew up with Italians and fucking Greeks, so you know what I mean? Everybody will always say that to me and say some dumb shit like that. But just to add into that, I want to expound on that a little bit. Just a little bit, all right? And this new black on YouTube, which includes Brother Polite, well, these groups of articulate do-nothings. Do y'all know what I mean by articulate do-nothings? Brother Polite is another poverty pimp that wants to be a Hollywood celebrity. It's not even, you see, it's hard for me to say that because Harvey Weinstein is a prime example, right, of what the deviance can be in the industry. Now, I wasn't in the movie industry, but I was on TV for 2 years on direct effects on fucking MTV. So the guy that produced the show, his name was Terrence Clayton. He's from here in Connecticut. He's from New Haven, Connecticut to be exact. Terrence Clayton. And he works on, I just saw Terrence not even maybe 4 months before he came to one of our shootings at Power Moves Makers down in Brooklyn. And he wasn't being interviewed. He came down there for when we interviewed DJ Envy from Power 105, which is here on the page, or you can just go to Power Move Makers with Sean Prez here on YouTube and just go check him out or whatever. I also share them in the community section. So if you guys go in there, some of the ones that I handpicked, I think were the better ones that I was part of. But one of the weird things about it, man, is that this new black on YouTube is primarily, and new Latino, this Latinx bullshit, that seemingly only gets about 4% of support from real Latinos, you know? I know real Latinos that can tell you about the island, Latinos that can tell you about the history of the island, not that Latinx bullshit. I'm not familiar with that. The Latinos I knew, they were sitting in front of the building with us, listening to Latin freestyle. The Latinos I knew were working together in the neighborhood. This Latinx shit seems to be no more than about assimilation. And I'm not with assimilation in any degree. Now, you can think you motherfucking Anglo-Saxon all you want to. I challenge you to this conversation. Look what's happening in Texas at the border. Are you blind? You got some state senators calling Latinos this branch of Latinos the new slaves. I've heard now 9, and you can look it up for yourself. I've heard now 9 politicians. This doesn't happen in the Northeast. I think that's where a lot of blacks and Latinos get confused. They think that the rhetoric of the Northeast is the same as the South, and it's not. If you don't believe me, just watch Django Unchained. Calvin Candy, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, says this little phrase. He said, well, I can't imagine a week in Boston. And flickers his eyes. That's Southern shit right there. I do that shit up here, you know. I'm a Northerner, you know. But my mama was a New Yorker, and, you know, everybody else was Northeastern. And we subsided down there because of the grandmother. Grandmother, like I mentioned, her mama was from Lynchburg, Virginia. And my grandfather went back down there with her. My grandfather, he's from Philly originally. But we got family here in Connecticut and family everywhere. So I know that little flick of the eyes. You know what I'm saying? And so I do that and I implement that in my own personality. Have so for a long time. If you look at that dynamic from that dynamic or whatever, you start to realize something, that this new black, I don't know what they're preaching to, but one thing I do understand is the blacks, depending on what region it is, they react different. They react different. And I'm talking about between the YouTubers, they react different. Send me the link, I want to check it out, but I'm going into what you talked about. Slow down, Patrice, I'm trying to talk about your shit. Patrice know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to talk about your shit. Hold on. Because you say too much good shit. Brother Polite is a poverty pimp. I won't go as far as saying Brother Polite is a poverty pimp, but this is what stuck out to me and made me say that we can lean towards that direction. He muttered the line. Let's say that, right? Let's say he muttered the line. And he muttered the line with this. He went on and he decided the best course of action for him was to create a YouTube video like all of us do. He's a YouTuber just like we are. And even though I'm not as popular as him, as far as, what's the name? I am popular, but I'm not his popular, but I'm in the millions of views. So, you know what I'm saying? I know this very well. There's a choice you have to make at a certain point on YouTube. I've had to make that choice, if y'all seen it. And it's whether or not you take the money because you're desperate and you like the season of it and you're not really utilizing it towards anything except for your own personal means. So that's one form of this new esoteric black elitists. I said these motherfuckers were coming, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago now on Facebook when I was on Facebook Live. It's still there. It's still there. Just like all my other shit. See, that's what I like about me. I tell you, go reference my shit. Sometimes I clip it and put it back up for you and be like, hey, see, I told you. And I don't do that to be patronizing or try to, get at anybody in any particular way. I do that to set example, to tell people, hey, listen, I'm trying to tell you the truth. These other people are trying to lead you astray. That's what I use that as an example of. And now, y'all starting to come to the sense with yourself and see, hey, maybe some of these people that we are donating to are not the right individuals who, let's say, implement our thoughts, or at least give us material that is solid enough that everybody's not going to be on point as the way you want it. They're not going to do everything the way you want it. And at that point, you have to start questioning yourself, am I communist in some way? It's a lot of communists, Marxists, and socialists and liberal values that are influencing society. And, I was watching Fox. I watch Fox just to do. Some things on Fox I agree with, some things I don't. One of the things I could say is I heard, it blew my mind and this is not a racist tone, but it blew my mind when I heard a white man sit on there and quote Malcolm X perfectly. Perfectly. And he said, even Malcolm X said, do not trust liberals. Don't trust them. Martin Luther King followed it up, said the same thing, do not trust liberals. Many other people, Dick Gregory, many others have said, don't trust liberals. Hell, I'll even take it all the way back to the Dixiecrats, when they put up signs and posters and said, hey, the white man the Democratic Party is for the white man and the Republican Party is for the black man. And they had the black man in a spoofed up, looking jiggy. You know what I mean by jiggy versus looking equate. I said, oh my shit. The motherfucker y'all elected in, who was a liberal and a socialist, I believe, because I didn't vote for him. This same motherfucker is now trying to implement socialist views. Do I think the country needs it? Yes. But I think he's using that as a pedestal. So when I talk about this new black, they're influenced by that. These motherfuckers are indoctrinated like no other. Indoctrinated, hey, Antoine Queen. They're indoctrinated like no other. I think the better part of society is indoctrinated. You're not breeding anymore. America used to breed innovators. We're not in breeding innovators anymore. We're breeding copycats, and most of the world is. We're breeding copycats. And, all right, I made a new website. I went to school for digital media. If y'all wonder what I went to college for. All right, I made a new website. Okay, well, coding back, not even, 9 years ago when I was in college? Coding back then required a lot of work. It took you maybe, I don't know, in some cases, a couple of months to build an operative website that was interactive, meaning multi-layer pages, multi-layer of destination spots, multi-layer as far as what's the word? I ain't used the word in so long. But when you have multiple pages that you can visit outside the perimeter of the initial page, links, they would call them now. So I learned all this shit. So I know how to do that. I worked on a Mac and we worked on, what's the name? We were using iOS at the time. I think it was Leopard. And we were using Windows. I forgot what Windows it was at the time. Maybe 9 or 10 was, or 10 or 11 was introduced or something like that. It wasn't that late of an iteration of Windows. Because Windows stayed with one for like almost 2 years, I think, one version. These new Negroes that you have online, like Brother Polite, if you want to say, these in some cases, maybe people would call them black supremacists, you know, and I understand that. And a lot of them don't realize that as they're taking these positions, they're also being put online. And they're being put online in a different way than they would think. And the way they're being put online is they're being put online in a fashion where it's just tell people to be warned of them, almost demonize them. And I can understand that because a lot of people put faith in these people. Now, Umar Johnson, he was before Polite, I think, in pointing this out. And I think Brother Polite just put the nail in the coffin. Because now you have another example of this. So if we have like multitudes of examples of these guys that say, hey, we're pro this, we're pro the community, we're pro helping out or whatever. What was the other brother's name that was over there in the jungle? I forgot what his name was. He's been to multiple different countries or whatever. At this one point, this guy raised $200,000. Swindled it all on Airbnbs. $200,000 on Airbnbs for him and a group of ragtag motherfuckers that believe really in nothing outside of fornicating, it seems like. And from what I've heard, what is that brother's name that lives in the jungle? What's his name? Nature Boy, that's his name. Thank you, 305 Capricorn. I know, what a damn schooler, that's what I'm asking, you know? A lot of these guys now that have taken funds, have gained funds from quote unquote the community, and that's why I say again, shout out to Doggy Diamonds, but he know what I'm talking about. The community didn't come to help me. No, a few select individuals that were actually philanthropic came and helped me. And I ask many more of y'all to, if you can, please continue to be philanthropic. My journey is not over, and I plan on not only getting back. Well, I've already started taking those wheels probably like 8-9 months ago, but getting back into the industry that I know. You know, I don't know how to make hamburgers. I don't know how and I've done it. You know, I've done everything. I've done jobs I never thought I would do ever since I left the industry a couple years ago. And it's under 5 years. So, but you know, if we were talking about longer than 5 years, I would be like, well, you know, but this is under 5 years. I know my industry is different. 5 years for some people can mean that you're not coming back at all. 5 years for some other people can mean it's better than before. I know a lot of things because I was taught by one of them, and I'm gonna get back into what I was saying. I know a lot of things, and this is one thing I can say about Puff and Sean Perez and Malcolm Miles is over Young Money, Cash Money, and James Cruz. We came up under some wonderful men, and even though they were just learning the business themselves, from Clive Davis and many other people, one thing I will say is they taught us the best. And the best defense that I have is, and the thing that gets me around and always has, is the fact that many people will make the mistake and think because I'm not dressed like them, I don't look like the particular brown noser they are, that, and I'm not a brown noser. I told you, people love me in that office, black, white, and light. Well, mostly white people. Black people used to be shunned. Oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I used to walk in the office and be like, what the fuck is that? You know, I would say a curse word appropriately. I would appropriate my cursing. Meaning like the moment had to fit the cursing. You know what I'm saying? I'm just rambling, what fuck, shit, damn, you know. The moment had to fit it. My dad used to be a man like that. And that's why not my dad, my grandfather used to be a man like that. That's where I got it from. My grandfather ran his own business. He was a mortician. Him and his partner. So, and one of the few, and I want to add, one of the few black morticians that had real clients, you know, buried the mayor, buried the heads of churches, everything, you know? All right, peace to my grandfather, Robert Lewis. Tulsa real estate pimp. I've heard of Jay Morrison, but I haven't really got to see any of his stuff. Hey, Antoine Queen. Tariq Nasheed, poverty pimp. Dr. Boyce Watkins, poverty pimp. The list goes on and on. And even though the list goes on, and there's some people I would admit from that, some people I would add to that, some people obviously justify why you would say that. Let me say that. I don't want to point the finger separately at anybody particularly. But what I will say is, it sure looks funny to me. Okay, make sure I got my wallet. It sure looks funny to me that a lot of these people have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And giving it to people that were in, and I wanna emphasize this, giving it to people over the years. Now I saw one of the comments, and y'all see it. I'll send it back into the community section. It was a comment that I caught doing his live. Now I want to give y'all this live because I want to get back to this. Doing his live, Brother Beleive had a pimp hat on, pimp glasses on, and was sitting in the back of appeared to be some type of luxury car. This is what the average jiggy nigga does. Jiggy nigga. Woogie boogie. Woogie boogie. So I looked at myself, and this is what I mean, I can always tell the difference. You know, I've been in the corner store and I see some dodo sit up and start counting money. He's got, you know, all these different colors on, hair braid, you know, hood ready. Hood ready. You're hood ready, you're not world ready. That's the difference. Hood ready, but not world ready. So that lets me know what your daily activities surround around. That's what you're telling the world. Real hustlers dress like gentlemen. That's in the Italian. Now, if you don't think I'm telling the truth, wait till that prison sentence come up and you're in there with the rest of them in the back of the bus. Oh, what'll happen? They got Pablo Escobar. That'll definitely get your ass. Now, moving on. I met Beleive at a lecture in New York. He looks hideous in person. I don't know what females see in him. I'll tell you what females see in him. Money. Money. This is why I have a problem sometimes when I come online, and I'm gonna promote my shit right now. $ STRINGERBELL 80, Stringer Bell 80, and Cash App, and also there's a PayPal link in the description. Hit that up right now. Hit that up. $5, $10, whatever the case may be. I need to see more encouragement from my channel. This guy was able to collect hundreds of thousands of dollars for black people, all because of his diatribes of spilling about absolutely nothing. What made him different was he took his money and invested it in endeavors, construction endeavors like myself, I'm trying to do, an experimental construction endeavor, which I wish I would have been a part of, which is my business, shipping container homes. This is now my second business in life. I just couldn't understand, for the sake of me. Thank you very much, TMH Global. And TMH Global is one of those people that did you see that comment right there? He's one of those people that donates on a regular. Match him. Because his come in at $100 a pop, $50 a pop, or whatever. So match him. If you're a real motherfucker right now, you like real content and you like real things, and you want to see me travel more around, I went to the Brooklyn Bridge and did that for y'all. This is show y'all an example of, I could go more places for y'all, I could do more for y'all, I could talk about more, but we got to see the encouragement just like any other machine. If you donate and you go to the local corner store, donate and donate to the people that need it. And moving on, Brother Beleive, speaking on that measure, has been able to build quite an empire. That's what would encourage a woman. Women like wealth. I got two sisters. Not all women, but they like security. And that's what wealth gives them the illusion of. Yeah, it gives you the illusion. Now, I mean, motherfuckers I've seen have their motherfucking assets freeze. Do you know how many people I've seen go bankrupt because all the motherfucking debts come in at one time for that house, that car? That little bullshit ass jewelry you wearing. Oh yes, a lot of these motherfuckers lease their jewelry. Yes, please believe that. Y'all didn't know? All people will lease their jewelry and then run around and talk about they own it. You don't own that shit. That shit costs $3.5 million. You're not giving up 3.5 million just for a chain. You went to lease that shit, and you're probably paying about 2 to 3 grand on it a month, plus the insurance on the chain or the piece, whether it be a watch, whatever. Many of them do it. Get paid off in a couple months. I seen Brother Polite in that video look like a rapper, a rich rapper. I know what you come from, boy. I know what you come from. I ain't trying to shit on you. I know what you come from. You don't come from the same background as me, but I know what you come from. You got on that live to encourage the people to keep on donating to you. That's why. You talked about your legal team at the end, your legal team. Nigga, you was on there talking like you was motherfucking Hugh Hefner or somebody. Your legal team. That shit sound good. That shit sound real good when it's said on YouTube. Where will you be shipping business? Will shipping container business be local? I'm trying to do Connecticut. The problem with Connecticut is, depending on what locale you're in Connecticut, zoning is hard to obtain. It's real hard to obtain. And the reason because of this is because of traditional housing in Connecticut and historical houses in Connecticut. And I understand that. Now, there's many pieces in Connecticut that are rural. So right now, I'm located online. I have an LLC. I exist as an entity. But as far as a physical location, I think that's what you're getting at, as far as like an office or something like that. I really don't need one. A virtual office will, for what I do, because everything is on site. So it's me contracting contractors. I need one contractor to actually be able to move the shipping containers and place them into place. Prefabs, meaning cuts and things I might need to attach things at the beginning, shit like that. I'll get more into that in a minute. Brother Polite is a good dude, I think. But I think he got wayward into the same direction that he once spoke against. And money will do that to you. Money will do that to you. I done turned down $2,000, $5,000 to do interviews with people, both. Hundreds of dollars to do interviews with people. All based off they wanted me to give them something salacious about Puff. Now, if I'm gonna talk about Puff and I'm gonna say something salacious, it's gonna be me in control. This is my life experience. You understand what I'm saying? What I said and what I had to say in that video that now has over almost 400,000 views initially is that this. I felt I was done wrong, and this is why I felt I was done. That's my personal beef. It's not a beef for everybody to jump on and wayward around and say, hey, we gonna do this, we gonna talk about this. I want you to do this. So many people try to get me to talk about Kim Porter and everything else. It's y'all's temperament, a lot of you. Now, I'm not saying all of you. It's y'all's temperament that allow poverty pimps to take you over. Your temperament for wanting to hear something good, something to feel good, something to sound good, but nothing that can adequately point you in the direction of helping you. And for this, for good words, just like the preacher in the church, y'all give hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look up how much Brother Polite is worth. This man started on the street. This man, like many other tree stump preachers out there in Harlem, right here on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? And like me, he got notoriety real quick. He got millions of views in a month. Some people can't do millions of views and they've been on YouTube for 7, 10 years. I done had people write in the comments, I don't like what you're saying. Then I go look at the page, these motherfuckers got 10 followers. You've been on here since 2009 and you giving somebody motherfucker Jarabe, you don't go sit your ass in the corner with the rest of them. Goddamn motherfucker. Could you imagine that? A motherfucker telling you what you should be producing, and in 10, 12 years, a lot of them, I had this one chick, she had the most to say. And I started peeping what her pimping was. She would come on my page, leave comments purposely so people would rally behind her, she was hoping, and then come to her page. That part I agree with in Brother Polite's diatribe. The salaciousness that's going on top of the salaciousness. See, y'all calling Brother Polite dirty, but at the same time, y'all doing the same dirty tactics. And you're not piling on. Where were all the Harvey Weinstein videos from black people? Where are those at? Are we actually done with R. Kelly? It's okay now? It's all right? We can go back and listen to music? Y'all pick and choose whoever white media is talking about. White media broke this story, not niggas. And when I mean niggas, I don't mean black people. I mean niggas within the black population. Niggas. Gossiping, troublemaking, shit starting niggas, both black and Spanish and white. 3, excuse me. All poor white trash does the same shit. Cutie Pie. What was the other motherfucker? Paris Hilton. What's the other one? I forgot what his name is. He got into it with God, what is his name? The gay dude. I forgot what his name is. They're white. And many other ones. There was another guy, white guy, that tried to follow up and put glue in his head, just like Gorilla Goo Girl, that dumb fucking twit. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's a band of merry motherfucking court gestures here on YouTube. We all know that. You know what I'm saying? Send for the royal fool. Send for the royal fool. Send for the royal fool. Make them dance. Faster. Dance faster. You're unequipped. Bring him to the guillotine and behead him now, once. And bring a spectacle in front of the crowd so many others know. You come to entertain the king? Be good. That's basically your average YouTube audience. They will cancel and uplift you at the same fucking time, all right? Now, I'm telling you guys, and I'm telling you for the last time, and I'm not going to say no more else about this, because after this, you are the royal fool. So listen very close to me, kids. You motherfuckers are spent, and yes, I called you motherfuckers, like I said. I'm a Northeastern boy, we curse. Well, the real ones of us, black, white, Spanish alike. That's why sometimes I prefer being struck on the shoreline. You get a real man's opinion versus on that fucking hoity-toity decadent bullshit. I can't stand that shit. I used to hate that shit when I was at the office. I said, who do you work for? Ask anybody up in that office. I used to say that to white guys and cocky-ass black dudes and Spanish dudes alike. What the fuck do you do here? Oh, you security. I got you. All right, boy. Well, let me know when our car pull up. All right, now. Be good now. That's how I used to talk to them. I talk to a lot of doormen and people like that, unaccomplished motherfuckers. Think you got some power. See how much power you got in court. You got representation? I do. See how you stand that one. A lot of people think when I get into a tussle, I'm filming them for my own personal reasons. No, I'm filming you for lawyers. You dumb motherfucker. You think you're smart. Think you're smart. No, you're slick. So the difference between being slick and being intelligent. I had to learn that as I matured more. There's a difference between being slick. You can be slick. But if I bet you if you try to be slick with somebody, you hear it back, played for you on the camera, you'll even realize to yourself how stupid it sounded. Brother Beleive has a YouTube video encouraging black people to take in PPP scams. He's in trouble for that scam as well. Now this is the funny shit. What'd she say? Devin, I just hit you. Thank you, Annette. I love Annette. Let's continue to invest in Devin because he will do right for the right reasons. Thank you very much. And that's the thing, like, even the last video I did the other night when I was in New York, I didn't even realize it to the end. Y'all go back and watch that video. It's the very last video I did in New York City. So the only thing you have to do is right before that one, just hit my name and scroll down. If you go towards the end of the video, you're going to see I got 2 bags full with what? Groceries. Like, you know, I don't fuck around, man. I don't fuck around. Even if I was catching hundreds of thousands of dollars, I still know how to save money. I'm a tourist. We're very good at money. Anybody you can ask them that knew me from the music business, a lot of people didn't believe I was in the music business because I wasn't a typical motherfucker. I dress like, and I hate to put it this way, I dress like a well-dressed white man in the music industry. Like if y'all ever seen any pictures of me I put up, whatever, like I look very different than I do now. Y'all will always notice I had ties, tie pads, always dressed very nice. Sean Prez will even tell you that. You know, as far as style, I changed with the times. Very much did. But right now, I'm on some laid back shit. You know, who I am. And that's what it is. Right now, it's about getting my foot back in the door. And there's a lot of opportunities out there for me because of people that I've known so long in the industry. But I was never a chain wearer or going to the strip club. I'm not, you know, only time I really went to the clubs, especially when I hit 30, was like if we were going for a club night or something like that once in a while, or something like that. All the other partying I did for 17 years. I've been to every club in the United States you could think of that's a high-end club. I've been in King of Diamonds, the Clevelander. Trying to think where else. That's on Ocean Drive in Miami. Everybody, if you don't know the Clevelander, I've got tons of pictures in there. Last time I think we was in there with DJ Envy. Trying to think where else. Texas, I can't think of every last one. But this numerous clubs that I have picked. Compound in Atlanta, SO in Atlanta. I've been through all of them, you know? So the partying and shit, I really, it did it. And when I was partying, we were partying with stars. So I had the element of it, you know what I mean? That's how I understood the difference between motherfuckers that would do anything to get in the club to see us or be around us. That's how I understand the dynamic of that. It's the rush, you know what I mean? It's the rush. Because we're either standing on stage with the artist, like we were at the tunnel or shit like that. We're either in the accompaniment of the artist later on at that time at a different function, or we're either, you know what I'm saying, at that part where we're in the development of what the marketing campaign is going to be, and we're having meetings with the artists. That's what happened with Sean. Sean was the first meeting I ever had, as far as the artists are concerned, and how the direction was going to be taken in marketing them, you know? And he sat in on the meeting, had input on the meeting. So, you know, that was back in 2000. So I spent a lot of time as a kid to now an adult, and I know nothing about the music industry. So this is different from a lot of these other guys that you throw your support to, many of y'all, and they've never been a day in their life in the music industry. Like, you don't know anything about the music industry. Basically what you're doing is you're watching videos and vicariously giving a diatribe of what you've heard previously, and that shit don't matter. Who knows you? You know, y'all have heard now the former vice president of Bad Boy Entertainment come on here and say, yo, that's my little brother, you know? I love Sean Prez, that's my guy. I always will. He is my big brother. If it wasn't for Sean Prez, I wouldn't have went to any of the places I went to, because Sean Prez had to sign off, so this one would, you know what I mean, be wherever we're at. So he was the conduit for that. So shout out to Sean Prez, shout out to Billy Bang, everybody else from 3rd Avenue office all the way to Midtown Manhattan at 1540 Broadway. I was there for that whole journey, and I loved it. But now, I mean, like, my direction now is not per se just the music industry, and the music industry is great, but as I tell you guys all the time, it's worth pennies on a dollar. You know what I mean? It really is. It's to do so much that it's damn near not worth nothing. The merchandising is worth more than the actual product itself. Brother Polite, I think, somehow is trying to muddle the line between both of those edges, and it's just not going to work for him. It's not going to work for him. It's not going to work for him because people now see what they see, and they're going to challenge you on. You were better off if you say you got a legal team not to make any motherfucking announcements at all. You made your first mistake when you hopped on there with Sonetta because you were worried first, in my opinion, about them donations and the money that people were giving you. And you didn't want that to subside because a portion of that, if not all of it, a lot of it, a portion of that goes towards funding your lifestyle. We know this. And I know this because it is funding my lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? What minuscule part of it is. We live with donations, and that's what we do. You know what I mean? And some days it's a very great thing. Sometimes it just don't go the way you want it to, but you continue on. Because the thought of it is not the money. The thought of it is, hey, let me get this out to these folks and tell them whatever. Because in the limelight, even if I create connected donations 10 times over what I'm getting right now, this is still what's coming in. This is still what's impending. He missed the line when he let sexual gratification, and the reason it's so easy for a lot of these people to come to their conclusions is because of your lifestyle. You know what I mean? I forgot what that lifestyle is called when you have multiple wives, but because polygamy, I believe that's what it's called. But your polygamy is not looked at well in this country. Never has been, you know, and there's been all kinds of different men from different backgrounds, different cultures. They all try to implement it. The earliest ones were the Mormons, and, you know, Gnostics tried their little spin at it, whatever. Then later on, you had other cults and wayward preachers and tree stump preachers from across the nation Same thing, different denominations, different colors to the skin, different culture backgrounds, all with the same antithesis. And I'll say it like it is. These motherfuckers sold you snake oil and dreams. They've been doing this since the wagon trail days. Ain't nothing changed, just the surroundings and the time. Period. Snake oil salesman. Alex Jones is on YouTube doing snake oil sale in itself. Kicked them off of here because of that. Yes, they did. Now, what Beleive's got to watch out for is this. Let's say you didn't do it, right? And I like to hinder a hinder of a doubt with any man of color, because it might be me one day. And the allegations might be totally false. This might be something vindictive that somebody is coming back to taunt you with. But one thing stands for sure, I think my battery's getting ready to go dead, y'all, because I just went dark. Let me see here. Oh yeah, I'm about to go dark on y'all. Let me make sure I turn in this right. The one thing I want to say to Brother Beleive is, even if, oh shit, hold on one second, y'all. Guys, I'm gonna continue this. My battery's getting ready to go dead, but I just want to say, even if you are innocent, Brother Beleive, and I'd like to give people that the corner of a measure, your lifestyle and the multiple women that you have and the multiple women that you're around are not aiding to your innocence. Guys, make sure you hit the donation, STRINGERBELL80. That's a Cash App. Also, it's a PayPal link in the description. I got 5% battery left, but I will be back with y'all. We're going to talk more about Brother Beleive. Make sure y'all hit up the Cash App. Make sure y'all hit up the PayPal. And thank you guys for joining in. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll be back soon. Later, guys. Damn, man.